I wish I would have started this 120 days ago. This thing is going to be a game changer for your carnivore or carnivore animal-based diet. You can make it at home. It's simple. It's actually a way you can save money. It's delicious. It's palatable. It's fun. This stuff is going to blow your mind. It really is. It's crazy. I didn't think about this before. And the benefits that it's brought me in this next phase of my carnivore-based diet, game changer. So before I get to what that actual thing is, you may have been able to guess already, but I want to talk to you about somebody that was on our podcast recently, Dr. Ted Naiman. He has something he calls the PE diet, and it's the protein to energy ratio he talks about. It's basically the idea that you have fat and carbs, which are energy, and then you have protein, which is a nitrogen base, which is more about repair and recovery. Your body doesn't really like using protein for energy. It tends to stick with fat and protein. It can use it, but in the absence of fat or protein, you can have something called rapid starvation. So your body can't actually live on just protein. You always have to have some fat or carbs in there, I guess, to just make sure your body functions properly. I don't really know the mechanism of rapid starvation or why that happens, but it does happen. And so I've been doing carnivore diet for a while, trying to get as lean as possible. I had a little bit of fat in the midsection that I wanted to clear up. I've gotten down pretty close to where I want to be. I may be a percentage point away from where I still want to be. But this thing that I'm going to tell you today that is just so awesome, I just wish I would have thought about it sooner. It's something that's helped me do this, okay? The reason I bring up 10 diamonds is because I want to introduce you to this concept real quick. I don't want to do a full treatment of this. I'll probably do a video on this. But in general, if you're trying to lose weight, optimize for protein. And then control your carbs, maybe a little bit of carbs, maybe no carbs, whatever works for you. And then control your fat sources. So if you think about these as kind of a ratio, the more protein you can increase, the more it takes away from your fat and carbs, and the more likely you are to promote fat gain and to prevent overeating, because protein is the most satiating nutrient you can eat. And that actually ties into why today is so valuable and why I discovered this, and how my OMAD style diet that I've been doing lately, kind of on accident, ties perfectly in with this. So generally, most people don't eat enough protein as is. I'm in the camp that I believe most people should eat more. Some of the numbers range between 25 to as much as 45%. 45 to 50% protein of calories is a lot. Most people aren't gonna be able to do that. I'm not doing that. I probably will never do that. But when I was tracking it, I was around 20 to 25% protein. Now I'm trying to get up to about 35 to 45% protein because I'm still trying to optimize for fat loss, get a little bit leaner, and then figure out what my maintenance is. Maybe I'll come down to more of like a 35%, 30% protein, and then the rest fat and a little bit of carbs that I slip in every so often. And so Ted talks a lot about people that still on the keto diet. A lot of times people still on the keto diet is because they're eating too much fat and not enough protein. So what they can do is they can bring down their fat and they can increase their protein. And what that usually does is it allows the body to get into a fat burning mode. As with everything, these things are very nuanced, which is the answer to all nutrition. It is nuanced, and people want a black and white box to fit things into. Current events, maybe. There's obviously a lot of problems with that kind of thinking. For me, this is kind of solved. There's an optimal ratio of protein for everyone. Yes. I think for most people, it's higher than what they're currently eating. Yes. If you're trying to lose fat, you do need to pay attention to your fat intake. Yes. And your carb intake, of course. And you probably should be optimizing for protein. So all that being said, let's get to what this hack is, what this trick is, what the secret is, and how I stumbled upon it, and how you can use this. You should use this literally starting today. I got something in my back cut out. I had a lipoma. It's not cancerous or anything like that. I had to cut it out. It's fatty tissue. I was awake while they did it. I was trying to meditate while I was going on. Trust me. I haven't been able to lift heavy is the reason that this is applicable to now. And because I haven't been able to lift heavy, I think my appetite has definitely come down. And so when I'm not lifting this way, I've noticed that my appetite is kind of centering around one big meal. And I'm also naturally fasting longer. So my meals lately, I've been waking up at 7:30, 8 a.m. and I'm eating my first meal between 4 and 5 p.m. And I haven't even been paying attention because I've been busy with a lot of things, but I haven't really been hungry. And then so that first meal, I'm also not like ravenous or anything. I eat that meal, feel good. Usually it's a steak, maybe some fat on the side, maybe some extra protein if we have it. I try to fill up quite a bit more in my first meal, and then I'm good. What I've noticed though is I haven't had an appetite for a second meal much lately. And that could be a combination of factors. So just by happenstance, I've been making homemade beef jerky. It started by making liver jerky because I wanted to eat more liver, and Carnivore Kurt, who was on the Ancestral podcast, which you can find a link up here, recommended doing liver jerky. So I tried that. It's actually a perfect way to get jerky down if it's not really palatable for you. All right. And then it's like, why don't I make some regular jerky? I have some of these frozen steaks from Alder Spring Ranch. I got some of those cheap London broil cuts that are not very flavorful when you cook them. Why don't I try jerky? So I did. Came out perfect. I even used my oven. It took like 8 hours at lowest temp, but I used my oven. I didn't even marinate them or anything. Put some salt on. Pretty tasty. Then I made another round with another cut. And I dried those out even more using my actual dehydrator, which I think works much better. Most of them are like 50 or 60 bucks, so you should totally get one. But you can still use an oven and a rack if you don't have that. And those came out even better. Now I'm getting into what marinades to use, using a little bit of maybe maple syrup, like just doing some, or honey, doing some other things like that, and just really testing and refining the recipe. But what I noticed, and the hack for this is, I've been able to use the beef jerky for those times that I'm not really hungry for a meal, but I do need some protein, and I don't want to just like grab cheese and easy things like that. And it has been working like gangbusters. I now think that homemade beef jerky should be a staple in really every diet, but for the purposes of today's video, especially for a carnivore-based, animal-based way of eating. Beef jerky is amazing, and you can make salmon jerky. I'm gonna be going buck wild on jerky, I can tell you that right now. What it does is it helps you increase your protein intake, which increases satiety. It prevents you from eating a lot of the easy snack things, which cheese, if you're still eating certain plant foods or chips or things like that, those things that are easy to grab when maybe you're not in the mood for a meal are the things that you shouldn't be eating for the most part, or that are very easy to overeat. Jerky is pretty much the only solution for that, or like a meat stick or whatever. But I've noticed with a lot of meat sticks, a lot of them are fat-based. So if you're trying to pay attention to something like your protein intake, and you're trying to balance that with your fat intake, it's usually harder to do that with fattier cuts of beef sticks, because a lot of them are actually more fat than protein. But with jerky, you can get lean. I think it's even recommended that you do use lean meat, and you dry it down, maybe add a little bit of marinade or whatever, some salt, and you have this container. I literally have 3 on my counter right now, and I just grab a handful of that, and I eat those for my second meal. And sometimes I add something to that, or I don't, but it has been an awesome way to increase my protein intake, watch that fat intake at that second meal when I might just like be more of in a snacking mood. And because lately I've been more of doing an OMAD, I'm doing like a 1.5 meals a day where I have my big meal and then I have like these very small meals, and jerky is perfect for that. I don't have to cook, I don't have to clean. I grab some sticks, maybe I'll grab a slice of cheese or something like that, or a little bit of cube of the raw cheese I have, and I'm good to go. If you're trying to lose weight, beef jerky could be something you eat with every single meal. It could be something that you use for satiety to fill you up. It goes down easy. If the idea of a big steak just doesn't really sound palatable, which for me, it never does for my second meal. Like I have a steak, I feel good. Then the next meal, I'm just in this phase where, maybe it's a phase where I just don't crave a big steak or like a pound of ground beef. I'm just usually not that hungry. Now, if I up my training, maybe that will change, but I still think beef jerky should have a place in that it could be a staple and it can help you optimize for protein. You're eating lean meats, and if you're trying to lose weight, this thing could be like the hidden key to doing that. If you're at a plateau right now, beef jerky. If you're trying to lose weight, beef jerky. If you're trying to control your appetite, beef jerky. If you're trying to find a snack that is easy on the go, whatever, beef jerky. If you want something that your kids are gonna love, beef jerky. I could go on. Take a bite. Can you take a bite? There you go. Let me see. Yeah. Take a bite.
Ow.
Did it hurt? Take a bite.
Ow.
So let me know if you have a recipe for this, some experience with this, especially salmon jerky, liver jerky, different kinds of jerky. I want to start experimenting with all these because I think we need to like make a movement. We need to make like a homemade grass-fed beef jerky movement for people that are following a carnivore or an animal-based diet, because this should be a staple. I truly believe that. I was going to do a video where I show you how to make that, and I probably still will. But for now, I just Googled beef jerky recipe. And if it had soy sauce, I use coconut aminos, or I don't use anything. I've done it with just salt, right? So you don't really need any instructions here. You can do it in your pan on a sheet rack, or you can do it in a dehydrator. There's tons of videos about how to do that, so it's not really a good idea for me to do that. There's just no need. So go find a recipe, try it for yourself. I will say though, cut it as thin slice as you can and pat as dry as you can, and make the strips as uniform as you can, because then they'll all cook evenly at the same time. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, Colin here. Got a freebie for you. Click on the button below to go to theancestralmind.com and download the 7 Principles of Living Wild. This is a short PDF that's got some of the main principles, such as real food, sleep, movement, and a couple more that are going to help you live more ancestrally in accordance with your genes.